Afternoon and welcome once again to Wave Your Grades on KUAW.org. My name is Carl Boyd. I'm your host Saturdays from 1 until 2 p.m. Central Standard Time with Wave Your Grades, American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops, paying tribute to those who serve and those who have served, motivating those who are striving for excellence because we owe a debt of gratitude for those who give an opportunity for our young people to strive for excellence. Today, we have a very special guest whose name is Lillian Batey. We have known her in the Kansas City area for decades, now residing in the Atlanta, Georgia area. And her program, STOSH Incorporated, which she will explain, complements what we are attempting to do with Wave Your Grades. And in that regard, let me say, welcome, Lillian Batey.
Thank you for such a great introduction, Carl, and I am grateful to be here on today, and welcome to you as well.
Well, as we get the opportunity for the optics, it appears that you are not relaxing in your family room at home. Something very exciting is taking place, but don't get us on the bus until you tell us how you arrived at this point, maybe even since the founding of STOSH Incorporated, and what does that stand for?
STOSH Incorporated stands for the Sojourner Truth Observational Study Home Motel Incorporated, a nonprofit organization that began in 1993, taking youth off the streets of Kansas City that were being suspended from school, had nowhere to go, were ending up either in trouble with the law, incarcerated, and sometimes dead. Uh, and I kind of broke that down also to stand for students trying to overcome specific hangups.
Wow. Students trying to overcome specific hangups is something that would pertain to many cities across the United States. But how do you go from the Kansas City, Kansas area to Georgia and restart such a program in a total different venue?
All I can tell you, Carla, is by the grace of God,
Yes.
who has continued to order my steps and direct my path from day one, that has blessed me to be able to come in contact with such awesome people such as yourself, that opened the door in Kansas City by just hearing about the organization and giving me the opportunity to begin by making an announcement on your radio program called Generation Rap that was full of nothing but youth. And from there, I spent 10 years in Kansas City building programs, alternative schools, after school, summer camp programs.
Yes.
And one of my biggest, I guess, in the events was the annual Christmas on Quindaro, which was a Christmas party that began in 1992 before I lost my mother to ovarian cancer.
Sorry.
We began serving 300 children the first year, and we ended in 2002 by serving 2,000 children and over 200 sponsors in the Kansas City area.
Now there is an opportunity in your location. However, what you are doing spans a larger geographical area than just where you are. And by the way, I said in the Atlanta community. Tell us, please, specifically where you are.
Yeah, you did ask me how did I get from Kansas City to Georgia. It was kind of like that midnight train.
That's all right. But what I was asking was whether or not when I said
Yes.
Atlanta, whether it is Atlanta specifically, or tell us precisely where you are.
Well, I live in the Snellville area, and from where I am, you can see the top of Stone Mountain from my
Wow.
apartment complex right off of Highway 78. But I have been working in the metro Atlanta area, more specifically as a certified teacher and substitute teacher for the DeKalb County School District. So that's where we are centrally sitting right now on our brand new mobile academic program. This is Lady Sojourner.
Now, considering the number of things, when you talk about young people with specific hangups, was your terminology, the number of things with which young people are confronted, what are the specific topics being addressed at this time?
Well, I guess I have to go back to the beginning when I first started dealing with children that were falling behind in school, needed
Okay.
additional help, tutorial assistance, and from that, realizing that children were being kicked out of the school for almost anything with nowhere to go. And I found that there were children, young people, middle and high school students that were getting involved in gangs, involved in drugs, making a lot of choices that were not appropriate, that were causing them to end up in trouble with the law. And I eventually found myself becoming an advocate and accompanying a lot of these young people to court to keep them from ending up in the system. I was fortunate enough to find a judge there, Judge Poterberg, who gave me the opportunity to speak anytime these young people that I was aware of had hearings coming up. And I asked him to just allow me 30 days to be able to spend time with the young people. And if they messed up within those 30 days, that I would personally deliver them back to him. And one thing led to another. And before I left Kansas City, we had served approximately 748 children, some included in the system and some just needing extra help with homework, classwork, and just trying to stay on the right track.
Now, as we go along in the program, I'll probably ask
Yes.
more than once about contact information. But as you give the information, will you tell us who you would want to contact Stosh and how? I know that support is always welcome, tutorial assistance perhaps, parents who want young people to be involved. Please give us contact information and what that contact might be.
Okay, well, for some of you all who are watching and listening, you're looking at an 8-year vision that has finally come to pass. Although my vision was a lot bigger, God allowed me to begin smaller by blessing me with a grant to be able to purchase a bus. I didn't realize that 8 years ago I had written a program for a mobile academic program where I saw computer stations on an RV where children were able to get onto the RV anywhere in any community to be able to get assistance. Right now, we're reaching out to parents and more specifically those grandparents who were complaining and crying because they weren't able to connect with their own grandchildren during the pandemic. So we again wrote a grant, received funding from Dollar General, and we were able to launch a program entitled The Right to Read from A to Z. It began in October of 2020 and it will run until April 26th. So any parent anywhere still has the opportunity to join us on Zoom every Monday from 4 to 5 p.m. All they have to do is they can either call me at 770-572-8995. And again, 770-572-8995. They can email me at takeoverlearning@gmail.com because that's my goal, because our education system is failing and we are in the process of taking it over by storm. And they can also go to our website, which is www.stash. Those are the beginning letters for Sojourner Truth Observational Study Home Motel. That's STOSH Inc.org, and complete the registration on our website. And I will personally contact you with our Zoom meeting ID number and password, and you can join us for a joyful Right to Read from A to Z session this coming Monday. And I have to say, I'm hoping that the children, some of the children that have been participating in the program, which are my grandchildren, will be joining us in hopefully a little bit, so you can see the children have actually taken this program to a whole nother dimension. When I first began, I thought that the grandparents would just be reading to the grandchildren, and some weeks the children would be reading back. But these God has blessed us with some of the most awesome children that have come online with all types of projects that they've done in school. They have written speeches and done Black History Month speeches. I have an 8-year-old who has her own podcast, and
Wow.
yes, and she has different segments. So the children have literally blessed us and taken us to a whole nother level where we grandparents can now just sit back while the rest of them, they do get involved. And in addition to that, one of my original uh, uh, teachers, tutors, when I first began, Mr. Robert Ewing, uh, God laid on my heart to connect with him, and he's opened the door now to African American authors right there in Kansas City who write children's books, who
Wow.
have also been coming online on Mondays, reading to our children, and one even sent the children a free book.
Now, considering the term children, what are
Yes.
the ages of those who participate in the program?
Well, to begin with, I'm the youngest child. Uh, Even though the grant was written to basically focus on pre-K, initially it was for pre-K children, but
Okay.
we have children all the way from pre-K through ninth grade, which are my grandchildren, but it is open for any age group. I have parents that I've come in contact with that have 2-year-olds, and they've been reading to the 2-year-olds, and I'm saying bring them all to see, if they will enjoy it. I have a set of 4-year-old twins, and we have to get them in. The children have to have an opportunity to speak first, because they don't last long as far as attention, especially after they've been forced to be sitting on a computer all day for virtual learning. So each child has an opportunity to make a presentation, and then the mother puts them on muted. You can see them just playing and having a good time, while the rest of us are still listening, learning, and reading and sharing information.
We're hearing the voice of Lillian Bate, 770-572-8995. And we're talking about a program that involves young people not only enhancing their academic pursuits, but also being able to develop psychologically in different ways. And those who are participating are in Georgia, but your supporters come from beyond Georgia, and what kind of programs are being initiated in Kansas City or the greater Kansas City area?
I'm glad you asked that question, because I am just coming out of a meeting that we have entitled a collaborative partnership that just basically began last Saturday. And God has brought people from out of the woodwork from all walks of life with all types of talents and skills. Like I said, we have African American authors out of Kansas City. I just met a lady from Flint, Michigan, who has a STEAM program that she said has been approved nationally. and she
Mhm.
is coming to join us to collaborate
Wonderful.
and to share that information. And I told her before we left the meeting, I already see myself and Sojourner heading to Flint, Michigan, because ever since they talked about the water being polluted in Flint, Michigan, I don't know if you recall, Carl, several years ago when I received a grant from EPA to do a special water monitoring project in
Wow.
Kansas City. And
Wow.
it allowed me to be able to pay 10 youth to go out and collect samples of water from 5 bodies of water, and they were able to run a test on it, calculate their data on computers, which has to do with the technology piece and the science component. And they had to make a presentation back to EPA, and EPA was so impressed. They wanted to give us some more money, but instead they bought that building that's sitting there empty.
Now, speaking of sitting there,
Yes.
where you are sitting is the realization of a dream. You indicated that it is indeed smaller than an RV, but tell us how the bus you've received a grant to now use will be used.
Is going to be used to be able to go into neighborhoods where children do not have access to computers and internet services, to
Yes.
be able to provide educational resources and tutorial assistance. I don't know if you can see, I've set up some of the computers already on the seats, um, along with
Yes.
headsets.
All
And
right.
my daughter and son-in-law have included a smart TV where the children can ride and learn and possibly listen to some of the authors read stories and as they ride. And a portion of the Right to Read program is they have to learn how to write because, as you know, they were trying to take writing out of the schools, but we're bringing it back. But this was a dream, a vision, I'll say, that God laid on my heart 8 years ago that has finally come to pass. And this is only the beginning.
Let us consider, excuse me, let us consider March 27th, 2021. The
Yes.
school year obviously is a lot different than it has ever been with the pandemic. As
Yes.
far as your program accommodating parents who want and grandparents
Thank
who
you.
want children to be involved, what does the calendar look like for their activities?
Well, we are planning a beginning with the weekend of April 2nd and 3rd. For the parents who have already been supporting the Right to Read from A to Z program, I am planning a night out, parents without children. So I have rented an RV on the campgrounds of Stone Mountain. It is a stationary RV. So I'm still in the process of trying to live out my vision and my dream, where they will be able to bring the children, starting at 2 o'clock. And I just want the children to be able to have fun. That's one of the things that they have missed out on while they're learning and enjoying the weekend. My plan is, because the camper will only sleep six, we will have six girls coming in on Friday night, and Saturday night will be the boys' night out. We are planning activities such as kind of like a weenie roast, marshmallow roast. I've invested in purchasing an inflatable movie screen projector where they can sit outside and watch a movie
Right.
during the night hours. My plan is, I didn't want to tell it yet, but I want to buy, the little glow in the dark bracelets where they can play hide and go seek in the dark, because I got
My
to be able
goodness.
to find them. Okay. But on the campgrounds, they have a swimming pool, they have a playground area, so it's a lot that they can do right there on the campgrounds and never have to leave that area.
Now,
However, I know boys are a little more adventurous during the day. If I can find a man that knows about fishing and hiking, the things that I cannot do at this particular point. I want to have a man come and spend the afternoon and the rest of the day with the little boys, and during the night, I'll go home and let them have a men's night where they can engage in conversations or activities or things that boys and men like to do. But that's the beginning of my plans for the spring break weekend here in Atlanta.
Now, once again, Lillian Bate,
Yes.
770 572 8995. The elephant in the room, of course, is our being in the throes of the pandemic. So please assure for those grandparents who want their children to be involved that all necessary precautions are being taken. And what does that look like in the activities you have planned?
Well, starting with the bus here, we have our own hand sanitizer and mask that they will still be required to have to use while riding. Um, I am going into the RV before the children get there to wipe everything down my way. I do have a young lady, 22 years of age, who has her own mobile detailing service. So she comes out and does a thorough detailing of the bus, both inside and outside, and has done a beautiful job. And we still have to operate according to the CDC guidelines. I have my little uh, thermometer here where will be taking temperatures. um, I know the children have not begun to start even getting vaccines as of yet, so we can't ask or request anything other than the fact that most of my parents I know that we have already enrolled in the program will be honest enough to tell us whether or not the children have been sick or been exposed to anyone. But right now, with them going back to school, I don't think anybody can answer that question correctly because nobody knows where the other children in the classroom are coming from. But we do plan to operate according to the CDC guidelines. As I mentioned here, this is a 22 passenger bus, but our intentions are to only transport 11 children at a time, which means we can still socially space them out here on the bus as well. And the bus will be detailed after each use.
Now, Lillian Bate, Stash
Yes.
Incorporated, we will be taking a brief break for announcements. Before we do that, I know that your enthusiasm is infectious, and there are people to whom you speak who, before you get through, are already volunteering to do something. Are there a few people, or perhaps plenty, whom you would like to thank for their partnerships or just help us to understand the level of participation that you have from the experts you know?
Well, I guess I would have to start by you, number one,
Well, I'm
by
blessed that
believing.
KUAW.org allows me this opportunity.
Yes.
Certainly beyond that, you have shared with me some of the people who are assisting. So shout out, if you will.
We have Dr. Gwendolyn Squires, author out of Kansas City, Missouri, Dr. Bianca Love, Mr. Robert Ewing, Miss Latanya McDowell, who is here in Atlanta, Georgia, who is in the process of establishing a virtual school, which I would love to be able to have a connection, well, provide the transportation for her students. We have a gentleman, Mr. Hazelwood, who has learned how to make instruments out of cans, and he just had a setup at our earlier meeting. We have another gentleman that is supposed to be joining us that does puppets and provides a puppet show. We God has just been opening doors called like never before, and I can't even. I just met ladies today, and I don't even remember what they all said that they could do. But one in particular, like she said, she has her own STEAM program, and she's connected it to nutrition, so the kids will be able to eat whatever they make, which will probably cut down on our bill as far as being able to feed them.
Well, let me just say to you that among suggestions might be children and robotics. And one reason I
Okay.
mention that is because during this brief break, I will be
Yes.
asking Louis George Walker, as we do each week, to let our viewers and listeners know how they can access KUAW.org, some of the programs, and the Black Family Technology Awareness Association that participates in and conducts robotics competitions and those kinds of things, and an opportunity for me to say Wave Your Grades is a program dedicated to those who serve and have served from excellent American students. And let me just ask Mr. Walker if he would, if this is okay, just to inform us about KUAW.org. Louis George Walker, if you would, please.
All right then. I'll join into this
Thank you.
into this screen. But yes, this is George Walker. I'm president of the Black Family Technology Awareness Association in Kansas City and the KUAW radio station. And we do have programs for our young people. Right now, our robotics program is working virtually, so you can join online. And we're going to be doing a program at Remake Learning Days. Remake Learning Days is going to happen in May, and I want to extend that to all the children there in Georgia or in that area. They can join us. We're going to
Right.
do a virtual robotics coding class that they'll be able to learn how to do some coding, and they can. All they need is a computer. They don't have to be there, and we have some wonderful instructors that will work with them. So I'll be definitely wanting to send you the information of that. And
Thank
our
you.
robotics program, we're hoping to start the back face to face. If not this summer, definitely with the beginning of next school year that the COVID is coming under control, we'll be vaccinated and
Yes.
kids can come into our robotics program and learn how to build robots. So if you want to find out more about that, contact us at www.bftaa.org or at kuaw.org. Thank you, Carl, and back to you.
Thank you so much. Louis George Walker, founder of KUAW.org. KUAW, knowledge, understanding, and wisdom emanating from the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center in Kansas City, Missouri. And Sister Lillian Vite, as we come back to you, how does that virtual opportunity to participate in robotics sound to Stash Incorporated?
All I can say is you gentlemen just hit another nail on the head because while we were inside talking, a lady mentioned that there was money that was about to come down for robotics programs.
Wow.
So you all are right on time with what you just mentioned, and I will make sure you get that information because I want to be a part of that project. Several years ago, I was selected to be able to participate in a organization that was hiring individuals for the summer, and I had to travel. I think it was to Chicago, if I'm not mistaken,
Mm,
and they were teaching children how to deal with robotics, and they were programming. It was called a spear. It was a little ball, and they had a tablet, and they had to figure out how to get this little ball to race to the end of the line, and it was so fascinating to me. I still want to figure it out. So can I be a part of the class? That's all I want to know.
We'll make room. We'll make room.
now you're talking. That sounds fantastic.
Yes, but that is perfect that y'all mentioned that right on time because I'm telling you, God is sending so many awesome people. with gifts and talents. Um, I see Sojourner all over the country right now. You remember that game he used to say, "Where in the world is Carmelita San Diego?" Well,
Oh,
y'all
Yeah.
gonna be asking, "Where's the world? Where in the world is Sojourner?" Pretty soon.
Isabella, who is
Yes, Isabella Baumfree. I even have a driver here now, a female driver who's in training today, who has decided to hang with me. She might be taking a nap by now, but you'll have an opportunity to meet Stephanie, who is my chauffeur, my newest chauffeur.
well, that's fantastic because I'm going to appeal to her in this way. This book, if you can see it, it
Yes,
looks like the mirror image, so I need to turn it around, but the title is Academic Patriotism.
yes,
This is the book that outlines the Students for Boots program, American students striving for excellence in honor of our troops.
okay,
Page 144 has a title, Taking Historic Military Field Trips. Now, from my first book, I used the term field trips spelled, quote, FEEL, unquote, field trips.
yes,
That is, that the young people will get an experience that they can really feel. Historic
exactly.
military field trips, and by the way, it's in the book on page 144, involves young people being accompanied and, by the way, invited by military personnel who again will motivate the young people. And when this occurs, prayerfully by the 2022 school year, we are asking Stash Incorporated to host those field trips in your area, and just wanted to find out while I've got you on camera, on the air, where everybody can see it, wanting you to receive and accept the challenge to conduct such a field trip or maybe even several.
What do I need to do? Do I need to say I do? I shall. I in. Just tell me what words I need to use to,
Well,
I agree. I'll do like Jonathan Nelson. I agree. Okay.
thank you
What
very much.
is
But of course, as you know, uh, this book was written even a few years ago and came from a conversation with your daughter, Sine, where I was talking about motivating young people. And Sine was the one who said, that's what mom does, and on an ongoing basis.
okay. And
So,
I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry.
so I was saying that in as much as we have Louis George Walker, a captive audience, I can appeal to Lillian Batte's driver to be a part of such field trips. But this is your show, Lillian, so you can tell us where else you intend to go. And you've done a very good job of enlightening us on the use of the bus and how those who are looking and listening can support you.
Okay. Well, before I answer, I need to get an amen from my driver. She's listening. You can't see her right now, but since you
Oh, all
got me
right.
on tape, we need to get her on tape too. Stephanie Walton, do you
There you
take the
go.
challenge? Look, hey, okay, did y'all hear? Say it a little
All
bit
right.
louder. He said I do, and I know she shall because this is a woman that I met even before the pandemic. She was already going everywhere where she was
Wow,
asking me to take her to the airport. Okay, so
my goodness.
I just said in the meeting earlier, when I grow up, I want to be just like her. Okay, I want to hang with her. Okay.
Now, that's fantastic. Let me go back to
Yes.
something. because we will be talking about after Saturday, March 27th. But once again, will you repeat activities? I think you said for Monday and Tuesday or something like that.
Well, I didn't get past Friday and Saturday, and I apologize. We are in the process of also planning a week of spring break activities that will run every day from 9 to 3 p.m. I am still trying to identify the neighborhood, which I think we will have that confirmed by the end of this week, where we had a young lady that came on board. I didn't realize that one of my church members who has already been working with kids also in her neighborhood. So I'm hoping that we can use that as a target neighborhood to be able to host the spring week of spring break activities. Because again, going back to what you mentioned earlier about COVID-19, and because we don't have a restroom here on the bus, I needed to be in an area where children can go home and use their own restrooms,
Oh, oh, okay.
and we don't have to worry about that issue. So that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to get into neighborhoods where there may be a parent support group or a learning pod group that already have been established. That would be some of the parents just need a break from the children, knowing that they're outside and they're being supervised and somebody's watching over them. So that is my next dream. Is the oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm with you.
I'm sorry. That is my next dream, to be able to get into a neighborhood during the spring break. And eventually, we plan to continue that as a part of our environmental enrichment and performing arts summer camp program. And I would love to have the robotics component as a part of that, if possible.
Now, when you think about the robotics, environmental enrichment, the programs that young people are exposed to,
Yes.
do you have something that is strictly academic? And if so, you mentioned reading. What are
Yes.
programs that would be acceptable academically?
Well, I have actually began by purchasing a program called the Education Galaxy that
Oh,
will allow me to do a pre-test on every child in every basic subject to begin gathering data as to where they are when they begin in the program and where they need help. We have had so many retired teachers that come on board now that are teaching everywhere from pre-K all the way to the college level, and they are all coming with their own visions, skills, ideas. And I'm just seeing God just opening up doors like never before. I'm coming in contact with what really excited me was people who know how to write the grants to go after the funding, because there is so much money out here right now that there's no excuse why all of us cannot have a piece of this pie. And that's what God is showing me, how to be able to develop those partnerships and relationships so that we can cover every area, every subject, no matter what the age of the child or adult, and what they are in need of or lacking, or what they can also bring to the table to teach other young people. I just met the daughter of one of the teachers who was working with us, and she says she likes dance. And I just asked her a minute ago, if I get a group of young kids, can you teach them how to dance?
wow.
We just left out a
Hello.
Yeah, I think we lost her this time.
Now, how did that
Let me
occur?
pause that. I'm gonna pause
all
We're
right,
back.
you're now
William
getting,
Tay,
yes.
maybe before I ask the next question, you might want to introduce us to someone.
Yes, I want to
Someone's,
introduce you to my two of my grandchildren. This is Ide Bio Akani and Onike Akani. They just arrived. And these are two of the participants of the Right to Read from A to Z program that have been joining me every Monday as
that
well.
is that is outstanding. How old? No, I won't ask you. Let's ask
Thank
them
you.
how old they are.
Bio, he's talking to you and only K.
Tell us how old you guys are.
I'm 10. I'm 9.
Can you hear them?
I did
They
not
they
quite.
have masks on. Pull your mask down just a minute. I know your mama told you to keep it on.
And scream it out.
I'm 10.
10
Only K, how
I'm
old are you?
9.
and 9.
Oh,
Her?
okay.
All right. I know
That
they have
is,
a little shadow on them, so it may be a little hard to see them.
oh no, that's a very good picture. As a matter of fact, I think. What do
Okay.
you say, Brother Walker? Doesn't that look pretty
Yes.
good?
Yeah,
You really.
that's
All
good.
right.
So Lillian Batey,
These are, yes, sir.
say it again.
I said these are also going to be the first children that will have an opportunity to take a ride on Lady
Oh,
Sojourner.
okay.
Yes,
So we got in on a scoop. Thank you.
yes.
Now, let me tell you something that we were talking about, and you can tell us about variations on that theme. And in as much as we're doing so much virtually, Louis George Walker and I were suggesting that there could be that opportunity to join some of the activities of the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. And in as much as you were a resident in the greater Kansas City area, you are no doubt familiar with W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center. How might that manifest, and would you be agreeable to that?
Well, I guess I can say I am not only familiar with the W.B. Du Bois Learning Center. When I first began my organization, Bill Grace was one of the first ones that advised me not to connect my program with the school system. And I
Wow.
guess I was kind of hard headed in a way.
Yes.
I didn't listen, but I'm learning a lesson even 27 years later. But Bill, I used to go to the W.B. Du Bois Learning
Right.
Center for a number of meetings. As a matter of fact, I think that's where your sorority or fraternity was meeting at that time.
As a matter of fact, we were not. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity.
Okay.
We were not meeting at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center at the time, but there were a number of organizations meeting there. And you will recall Freedom Incorporated, Mr. Fred
Right.
Curls, father of Phil Curls, when Phil at the time was the president of Freedom Incorporated.
Yes.
And there was also a program when we came back from Arizona called the Sanctuary Workshop, being conducted by Dr. Karen Curls for
Okay.
reentry for those who were ex-inmates and that kind of program. 5501 Cleveland should be refurbished and become an historic site for the number of programs they hosted there.
Exactly. And I do remember Freedom Incorporated.
Absolutely. Now, let me do this while we have just a few minutes left.
Yes.
I would like to find out if your grandchildren wouldn't mind letting us know their favorite things to do, their favorite subjects in school.
All
And
right,
they can say it real loudly.
let's start with you, Oni K, the young lady. Take your mask down for a minute and speak real loud. Did you all hear his question? Okay, I need you to answer that question, Oni K.
Now, what I will be asking of grandmom is, as they answer, you repeat the answer that they give.
No, come stand right here, Oni K. I want to make sure y'all hear them loud and clear.
Thank
Because
you,
this is
sir.
one of the things that I used to teach my kindergartners when I was teaching kindergarten was public speaking. Back up just,
Okay.
there you go. Now, say it louder so they can hear you. Going swimming, she said. And what's your favorite subject? Reading and math. And tell them what grade are you in? Third. And what school do you attend? E.L. Bowie Elementary School.
All right.
All right. Very good. Good job. Bio, come stand up so they can see my handsome grandson and my gorgeous granddaughter. Back up a little bit so they can see your face.
Yeah.
Hands down and talk loud and clear like your mama has already taught you. Playing what? Tell them exactly what.
Games,
What kind of game? More specifically.
Roblox, and Fortnite.
Yeah, Roblox and Fortnite. He called me in to buy him. What was it for your birthday? I didn't know the kids had to have a gift card, and the gift card cost $25 to play games. Okay, so that's his favorite fun thing. And tell him what your favorite subject is.
My favorite subjects
Over here, they need to see you. Thank you. Science and math, and tell them what you also had the opportunity to do last year in school.
Last year,
Your audience is here.
I had the opportunity to learn the spelling bee
For what grade?
for fourth grade.
Fourth grade. He said, did you understand him? He said he won the spelling bee.
Oh, outstanding.
Yes.
Once again,
Yes.
thanks to both of you. You are just absolutely great. That is fantastic.
Yes.
And Lillian Bate,
Yes, sir.
1995, the Million Man March.
Yes.
After the Million Man March, there was a documentary, Get on the Bus, and it talked about the various attendees getting to Washington, D.C. from various venues. Now it is 2021. Maybe 5 years from now, a documentary will be done. Get on the bus, Isabella,
Yes.
and talking about Sojourner Truth and wave your grades on KUAW.org will be able to say we did the first on the bus interview
Jesus. Oh, God.
with some of the greatest young people. And by then, we're talking about teenagers, and they will be
Exactly.
able to look back and talk about how they fulfilled their dreams from March 27th, 2021. So thank you.
They have no idea, Carl, exactly why they're even here. I just had their mother make them put on clothes and join me here
Good.
because I needed to have a full visionary picture of where God is taking us to. And I couldn't think of a better group of children other than my grandchildren where I don't have to have a photo
Yeah.
a photograph signature in order to get their pictures included.
No, this is really great. And certainly a thank you and hello to Sane.
Yes.
Uh,
And I can't hear without mentioning. I was trying not to go ahead of you with talking about the book, and my daughter's suggestion. She
yeah.
is one of the reasons for me ever beginning the program in Kansas City. My daughter was literally assaulted on the street while walking to school to catch a bus one morning
No, I
at
didn't
Fourth
realize.
and Quindaro, and from that that's when I really began to realize the bullying and the gang violence issues. And when I went to the school to address it, the principal in the school, who happened to be white, didn't seem to be that concerned about my child because she was more interested in an assembly that was about to take place. And I had to say to her at that time, well, my baby's what safety and welfare are more important than any. I don't want to use the exact words I use. However, since you don't have the time, I'll just take her with me, and when you can find some time, and to give me a call, we'll come and sit down. But I didn't stop there. I left there and went straight to the Board of Education and insisted on speaking with the superintendent and assistant superintendent who finally came out to meet with me, went to the school to find out what the problem was, and came back and said, "You're right. Your baby did not deserve what she received. She's one of the sweetest ones in the classroom." So I had to give credit to my daughter as well for helping me to
Thank
begin
you.
this organization, and she now has her own IT company entitled Trinigam Technologies, and has been one of the ones that has helped to upgrade the bus, and as well as my big sister Charlotte Farrell, who is an author and writes poetry out of Canada. These are also individuals that are joining us on Mondays. So I have to give glory and God the honor first for blessing me to be able to have some of the most magnificent individuals around me that have literally caused my baby to start leaping again, to
Well,
be
let me
able to
tell you,
complete.
and I will give you an opportunity to talk about which baby that is that you're talking about. But
Spiritual.
very quickly, as we get to the end of the program, I wanted to acknowledge that Son A was cited as a distinguished woman. What was that that was bestowed upon her during Women's History Month?
She was honored to be able to speak on a program where a lot of African American entrepreneurs, business owners, and six-figure individuals
Yes,
are beginning to convene and offer more training to try to help um, not just African Americans, but more specifically to be able to get on the right path in order to be able to accomplish the assignments that we have
thank
all
you.
been called to do.
Thank you. I hate to cut the conversation. This is such a blessing. There's so much information. I will give you the last word in the interview, and then we'll close out the program.
I just want to thank God for Him laying me on your heart to have the desire to even invite me to be a guest on the show. I just want to say hello to all of my Kansas City family. I know many of you all are begging for me to come back to Kansas City to continue where I left off. And the only thing I can say is if you provide the plane ticket and a place for me to lay my head, I will come in and help do whatever is necessary. But I can't stay there for long.
Well, thank you so very, very much on behalf of Wave Your Grades. We thank Louis George Walker, founder and producer and engineer. And my name is Carl Boyd for Wave Your Grades. Gracious God and wonderful Wanda. I'm on my way
I'm
home.
on my way home.